Welcome back, viewers. We are looking at the end of the day now for AMC and the stock market as a whole on the US front. We are down on the markets as a whole. If you remember our last video in the middle of the day, we saw the market see a little bit of a rebound and it did look like all of these were potentially heading for green. Now, unfortunately, that didn't happen, and all of these markets are looking to end the day red. We have 8 minutes to go, and the same may indeed be true for AMC. Now, I want to take a moment to quickly go over this, what it means for us, and then give my opinion on it. Now, it's going to be a relatively short one because we only are going to be covering the price. But yeah, we're going to be speaking about all that we need to in a concise manner. Now, the first thing that I want to highlight is, of course, the wider markets, the indices. We're seeing them all in the red. The S&P, the Dow, the Nasdaq, and of course the Russell on top as well. Now, when we look at the pattern, we are seeing this down, up, and then down again thing. We're seeing a similar pattern happen here with AMC, down in the morning, up, and then down again, with a little bit of a spike, as is shown with some of these, in this period here. Honestly, we could look at this graph and say it almost exactly mirrors all of these, and the same is almost true for the percentage points. Now, all of these are sinking by very decent moves, 1% plus on most of these apart from the Russell 2000. So they are all moving pretty quickly to the downside, and AMC being down by 14 cents, it's not a significant value, but it is a move down nonetheless. It's going to be equaling about 1% most likely by the end of the day. Now, looking at this alone, as I said this morning, this does not come as a surprise. We were expecting this, and we have been seeing this for the majority of this week. We've been seeing the price action do nothing. It's not really moved up, it's not really moved down. Yes, we have had days where we closed up by 1-2%, but then we've had days where we've closed down by 1-2%. So not really anything has happened, and the same is also true for today. Now, I think the idea of this is to get people annoyed, frustrated. But of course, in a period where we are seeing the general markets kind of tank, seeing this price action for AMC, especially in the past 3 out of 4 weeks, is really not that bad. It's actually pretty decent, because of course the price isn't really going down, if anything it's going up. And again, at a time where the markets are really just collapsing as they are, this is nice to see for our stock. Now, volume today is also very low, 24 million. We've been seeing this for some time now. Obviously, we have had these higher volume days and these pump days like what we saw earlier in the week. But yeah, volume has been down for some time, and that becomes more apparent on the 3-month. We're seeing this kind of trend now, especially over the past month or so, maybe even the past 2 or 3 months, where we're seeing the price really decline or more likely even stay flat. For half of this 3-month period, we've seen the price remain completely flat almost, not really able to break to the high side or the low side, which I think the whole idea of is going to be simply to annoy people. But apes don't give up that easily. So I don't really know what the idea is at this point. But we know what the data is showing, both in the background for AMC, but in the wider markets. Things are not looking cheerful. And this is the thing about the AMC apes, and this is, in my opinion, the mistake that the hedge funds made. The past 6 months, the past year, even the past, wider chart, or maybe even looking out to the 2-year chart now, because it has been so very long. They ran our price down from 72. They did it slowly. Now, can I remind you guys that at this point here, really from this point over here to about this point here, I would say maybe even here, the markets were extremely bullish. All across the board. All kind of stocks were rocketing all the time. So, by running the price down in a time when the markets are looking good, we now are in this position where it's like, how are you going to run the price down even more? If anything, now is a time to run the price down, but you can't do that because you have already done it. Now, with the $10 mark, which is basically where we are at now, a couple of dollars off, we are so low that there isn't really anywhere to run to on the downside. We can move up, but we can't really move down anymore, because we now know about the fundamental value of AMC, fair enough. It's certainly above $10, probably above 20, so how can this one be justified to run down to 7, 8 or anything like that? Again, there's not really much room. We've ran down by a massive amount, probably 50% plus, or at least, well, certainly 50% plus, when we just look at the figures from the highs to the lows. So there's not really anywhere for this one to go to the downside. And I think this is where the hedge funds are getting trapped, and I think this is why you see these flat days, these flat weeks. Simply with the idea of people getting bored. But we also are missing something that we saw in the first pump. We, with this bear market, are missing other stocks which are pumping. I've not really heard many names. Yes, there have been a few in the past couple of weeks, but not really that many names which the bots on forums are trying to promote. And that is because not really a lot of stuff is running. Now, the only tactic that they can have to distract us is to say buy the dip. But if they want us to buy the dip on, say, Bitcoin or something else, well, wouldn't we just buy the dip on AMC if we were looking to buy a dip anyway? Because that's what we were believing in from the beginning. And then you see the even bigger mess that hedge funds have got in this bear market. And of course, AMC is not the only problem that they have gotten within this bear market. When you think about it, it's highly likely that a lot of these funds are going to be holding stocks long, are going to be holding crypto long, and they are going to be feeling losses over time for that. So that's why I think that we are in a stronger position than ever. The summary of what I'm trying to say here is this. The markets are not doing well. Fair enough, and AMC is really quite flat, which is at this point really quite an outperformance of the market. So AMC is either in line or outperforming the market. That's one thing that we found in the past couple of days and weeks. On top of that, the price has already been decreased by more than 50%, so there's not much room to move down. So now there's not that incentive anymore. Of course, people are still buying the dips and nobody is really selling, so that's an even bigger mess for the hedge funds, because now it's like, how are they going to get us to sell? And of course, all of the distraction plays have been taken away because the general markets just aren't pumping in the ways that they formerly were. Now do you guys see how the pressure is mounting? Now add that to the potential of margin calls that we are, looking at in the future, alongside the potential of failure to delivers that we are seeing, alongside the cost to borrow, and of course alongside the potential of synthetics. Do you guys see how this is all adding up? And do you guys see how we are in the same position that we all signed up for? However, the actual numbers behind it are just becoming stronger for us. Now, when you tie in the fundamentals of our company on top of that, I think the position becomes even more scary for those hedge funds. So that is really all that I wanted to say in this one. We just wanted to look at the price and, just give a bit of opinion based on what we are seeing. If you enjoyed it, do subscribe. Of course, if you can share it, please do. We'll be back with more content soon, so do make sure to join us for that. But for now, it's a goodbye.